topic here is potential energy. So the various questions related to potential energy, units, dimensions, ratio, then questions based on work done, calculations of work done, relation between force and potential energy. Then another question based on graph of potential energy versus distance, calculation of potential energy, mechanical energy, maximum speed, minimum speed, acceleration, zero conditions, positive, negative, zero acceleration. Then we have another question based on Newton's laws of motion. A block is kept over here, and it's moving with a certain velocity. We need to find maximum displacement of the or you can say that maximum extension in the length of the spring. Then we have another numerical based question on the basis of calculations of acceleration, mean position, maximum extension, acceleration, and force. Then we have another question based on that calculation of various parameters like time period, frequency, x max, x minimum. Then we have another spring block mass problem. So block is displaced to the right by a distance 10. We need to find acceleration, force, time, angular frequency, amplitude, one cycle distance, one cycle displacement, one cycle average velocity. Then we have another problem based on K equivalent of springs in series and parallel combination. So these are questions based on that, various questions based on them. Infinite series problem in different cases. Then we have calculations of K equivalent in different cases over here. Here is also another problem in which K1 and K2 are made of rubbers. We need to find time period of SHM in this question. It's a good one. Then we need to find there are certain concepts for the pseudo force, accelerated frame, non-inertial frame, analysis of them, expression of pseudo force, numerical problem based on pseudo force for the calculation of tension in the string. Then we have another question on wedge block problem. So the question is that what should be acceleration of the wedge so that there is no slipping between M1 and M2. So there is we resolved the motion along x-axis and y-axis, then apply equation of motion and conditions gives a is equals to g tan theta. Applying equation along y-axis leads to the calculation of the normal reaction, which is mg sec theta. So this question has been asked many times in JEE main and NEET. Many times it has been asked. Then we have another question based on two block and spring problem. Force is applied. We need to find spring force, then extension, then acceleration. Then we have another question from the calculation of moment of inertia of a system of three rods. Moment of inertia about x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. Calculations involved over them. Then in another question we have 3-point masses placed at vertices of an equilateral triangle. And we need to calculate moment of inertia of the system about x-axis, then y-axis, then z-axis. Then we have another problem based on calculation of moment of inertia of a rectangle about different axes. Then application of this when the axes are passing through the center. Then we have another question based on calculation of moment of inertia of a system of four rods about different axes. The first is through the diagonal, second is about x-axis, y-axis and z-axis respectively. And then we have calculation of moment of inertia for disk or solid cylinder, different cases. Then about disk for different axes which are passing through the center, use of parallel axis theorem. Then we have another question based on calculation of moment of inertia of a cylinder about different axes. Then we have results related to the moment of inertia of a hollow sphere, about tangential axis, about another parallel axis. Then we have case of solid sphere, calculation of moment of inertia about different axes. Then we have another worksheet, a problem based on calculation of torque about origin in different cases. And then we have a table based on relation between linear and angular motion, comparison of different points like displacement, velocity, acceleration, momentum, force, momentum, first equation, second equation, third equation, and their analogy in rotational motion or angular motion. So these are the various equations which maps between linear equation and the angular equation. So you can say that using the same result we can solve question of straight line as well as circular motion. Then we have another Worksheet based on acceleration time graph. We need to find alpha from over here. Sorry, omega t graph, angular velocity versus time graph. We need to find angular acceleration using the concept of slope. Then angular displacement using concept of integration. Then number of revolutions. Then another question based on graph between angular displacement and time. We need to calculate angular velocity at different points. Then average angular velocity in different time intervals. Then units and dimensions of omega and alpha. Then we have another concept of pure rolling, question based on pure rolling. So we need to calculate in the first thing velocity of point P and condition of pure rolling. Then relation of acceleration of center of mass with alpha. Then problem based on the concept of pure rolling, various questions based on them. Then we have certain video on the basis of content in my YouTube channel. So we offer full physics lectures, then worksheets, NCERT discussion, NEET PYQ discussion, JEE Main PYQ discussion, and JEE Advanced PYQ discussion. In video lectures, we have introduction video, the basic concept, then we have the topic card, and then we have the worksheet. And for example, in rotational motion, there is a concept of introduction, then moment of inertia, then torque, then angular momentum, and then concept of pure rolling. Then we have another worksheet on angular momentum. Basically, the concept of angular momentum, dimension, SI unit, CGS unit ratio, calculation for a point mass angular momentum about another point, then angular momentum about an axis, then a numerical problem based on calculation of speed, angular momentum about x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, then angular momentum about imaginary axis having a unit vector having its axis along the unit vector I plus j plus k by root 3. So calculations of them. Then we have angular momentum of rigid body in pure rotational motion. Then angular momentum of rigid body in rotational plus translation motion. Then a simple problem comprising of finding angular momentum of a disk which is in pure rotation plus translation combined motion. Then we have a problem based on calculation of angular displacement of a fin and calculation of angular position at different points, average angular velocity, then instantaneous angular velocity, calculation of instantaneous angular velocity at different times, then average angular acceleration, then instantaneous angular acceleration, its calculation at different points. Then we have calculation of torque time graph, analysis of the points when it is positive, when it is zero. Then we have another concept based on calculations of angular momentum about origin. Then we have another numerical type question based on mass and position vector. Velocity is given over here. We need to find position vector, its magnitude, momentum, magnitude of momentum, angular momentum about x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, dimensions of angular momentum, SI unit, CGS unit, ratio of SI and CGS. Then we have another worksheet based on calculations of rotational kinetic energy. In case of pure rolling on inclined plane, condition of maxima and minima, values for maxima and minima. Then we have problems concerned with angular speed of different bodies, conditions for maximum and minimum angular speed, maxima value, minima value. Then we have a case of friction force acting on a body in pure rolling and calculation of the magnitude of the force. Then we have another sample on calculation of the time taken to move from top to bottom of the inclined plane, conditions for minimum and maximum time, calculations for maximum time, minimum time, calculations for solid sphere and ring, then analysis for variation of time for ring, disk, hollow sphere, solid sphere, then calculations for velocity of center of mass, analysis of velocity of center of mass for minima and maxima, conditions for minimum and maximum speed of the center of mass. Then we have another problem based on calculations of minimum coefficient of friction. So here is a body on horizontal surface, a force is applied. So we need to find conditions for which friction acts forward, then a condition for which friction acts backward, and condition for which friction is zero. There is another numerical problem based on them. Analysis for disk and ring, conditions of minimum force, zero friction. So this is the concerned thing. then we have a discussion on something metaphysical, which is everything quantized? So, which is the concept came from quantum theory, which was developed by Max Planck and Albert Einstein. Now, here is how we need to think about that. So, universe is composed of matter, matter is composed of atoms, atoms are composed of electrons, and electrons are composed of quantized energy levels. So, if we think in the reverse way, universe is nothing but a combination of a number of electrons, protons, and neutrons arranging themselves in a certain way. Now, apart from electronic quantum levels, there are quantum levels for proton and neutron also. So, everything is working under rigid rules, and that quantization or the specification points to the existence of some mysterious controlling mechanism by virtue of which things happen only in certain way. Gravity only attract things. Energy, if you think about any laws, then electrons behave only in certain way. It cannot accept anything. Or that, that concept of, you say, that speciality or the specifications of the quantization is applicable to human beings also. It said that everything is composed of three gunas, the satoguna, rajoguna and tamoguna. So everybody has got satoguna refers to the positive things, rajoguna refers to the sorry I think rajoguna refers to the positive things, sadoguna to the neutral things, and tamoguna refers to the negative things. So these also corresponds to Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Now if we analyze an atom, inside atom we have electron, proton and neutron. Electron is negatively charged, so it can be thought of as comprising of the tamoguna inside you. Negative feelings like fear, anger, depression, anxiety, all of them are due to the negative guna or the tamasic, tamoguna inside you. Now comes the rajoguna, which is for the proton as it is positively charged. So there is something inside us which stimulates us to do positive things, like opposite of fear is fearlessness, courage, bravery, silence, determination, willpower. So all of these are the positive things, or which are attributed to the proton inside us, or the positive guna or the rajoguna inside us. Now the most difficult out of these is being neutral, which is the property of the neutron. That's why neutrons are so hard to detect, because they don't react with anything. So when you are influenced substantially by the negative and positive emotions, then you will record the nature that you just observe things without being biased either positively or negatively. So if you are able to reach to that state of mind brain system when sadaguna dominates inside you, you realize that entire universe is a system of working. Things are taking place by themselves. It is fundamentally the energies who are playing the games, and you are nothing but an combined influence of the three energies. And in these three energies, one of the thing dominates inside you. So what you do is, because of the dominant character inside you, for the positive character dominant, such people are highly energetic. They, whatever they do it with so much intensity. They are so much full of life. They want to do this, they want to do that, and that is attributed in their working, maybe the academic life, the professional life. So it's attributed in them. Whereas if tamoguna dominates in you, you are always lazy. You are always like energy drainers. You don't have energy to do something. You will always be distracted, always be fearful, always be afraid of things. It's because negative energy dominates inside you. And if the neutral thing dominates inside you, you'll be a philosopher. There will be a certain charismatic effect in your personality, in the words that you speak, that stimulate others also, that increases their vibes. And it can be recorded by the other person that the vibes of this person is so strong. So that is when you become truly a philosopher. If you are able to get into that satoguna dominant state of mind, all the fundamental discoveries, all the great things which had an immense impact on humanity as a whole was done by the person who were able to get into that silent observation state of mind, which we call as the nirvana or the sakshi bhav. When you observe things beyond the physicality, when you observe that all the physical things that are happening are just a manifestation of the metaphysical dimensions of life. So that's how life is. So quantization has an immense impact. Everything happening inside you, even the thoughts, the energies, they are quantized and acting you to work in a certain way. If you have any doubt, you can ask in the comment section. Thank you and have a nice day.